Today on Drawbli.
I am redrawing one of my first Drawbli artworks.
Hey, I'm Ben.
And I'm Abby.
And we are self-taught artists documenting our journey of improving at drawing, which is, of course, better with friends.
So click that subscribe button if you're new around here.
And check out our guidebook at the link below. Abby, tell me about your redrawings.
So, back when we started Drawbli, we were drawing pieces for maybe a half hour at a time, start to finish, and trying to talk and record at the same time as drawing them.
Which was very hard.
Yes, so here's that first attempt. I was new to digital art in general. I wanted to draw the Ice Queen from Adventure Time because we'd been watching that. So I found a reference of a cosplayer, and then I redrew it a year later. Lots of improvement.
I would say an incredible amount of improvement in 1 year.
I still like how her hair turned out, but this is what I've done this year for 2023.
Wow.
Yes, we've definitely departed from the true spirit of Adventure Time's Ice Queen. Yes, there she is.
Very true.
But I really like how this has, brought me closer to something that's kind of more my own. Like this person with white hair and blue skin and a golden crown.
This definitely feels more like your own artwork. Like you've definitely taken it in your own direction.
Yeah. So the day I sat down to do this, it had actually been a while since I'd been able to sit down and draw consistently for any amount of time because I've been working a big nurse contract and all my time's been eaten up with 4/12s a week. So it was really great to get out to Starbucks with you and sit and draw. But it kind of made me feel like, some of it was just a lot of warm-up was needed. And I jumped right into this. But you are going to see the meaning of the word iterative.
Oh,
yes. She goes away. She goes away.
Oh, no, you completely erase it.
She is gonna be
that's
gone.
Right. I remember sitting there, and I was like, hey, how's it going? And then you showed me, and it was completely different than the final version that I saw later.
Which is too bad, because I actually was liking how this was going. It was the eye that's, a little bit farther away. I could not get the perspective on it to work in a way that I liked. And by the time I got anywhere with it, I decided I just was bored by her expression.
That's fair.
Yeah, I thought
there was the nose.
I know. I was like, there's a lot I liked about this, but
that's a polygon nose if I ever saw one.
Yeah, I know what that line. I always like your noses that you sculpt. I think they're very cool. But nonetheless, I loved working on this. It was so great to do this iteration after iteration. I let myself get into the details way early just because I wanted to, because it felt like it would be fun, and I'm all about just keeping it very fun when you draw.
Yeah, of course.
And if that means adding a lot of detail to the eyes early on because that's what you like to do, then go for it.
Heck yeah.
And then you find later that you can't bring it home with the rest of it, and you haven't wasted time on the eyes. You just put more time into the eyes than the rest of the piece. I love the colors that I'm starting with here as her base skin tone, but I'm definitely here. I can see I'm still struggling to find good complementary skin tones for that particular.
It's definitely hard when you're starting with such a bluish purple color,
Yeah, so we scrapped that one. I'm going bluer.
More blue. That was the problem. We needed more blue.
We needed more blue. And this time I'm like, well, let me just make up an expression that's a lot closer to this particular reference and see where we get. But at this point I'm like, I'm in a drawing fugue state, and it's not a flow state. It's more of a just fight. Exactly, a fight state. I'm fighting the art.
We gotta recognize when we're in the fight state and get out of it.
Yes. How do you get out of it? Probably you go take a little walk and come back.
Take a 5-minute break, get back in.
Yeah, it's hard though. I would think I would have had to take a 5-minute break every 5 minutes to save this one.
That's what it takes. That's what it takes.
Yes.
Okay. So I have a oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I have a question for you.
What's your question?
This is our 2-year Drawbli anniversary. We've been doing this for 2 whole years.
Yeah.
Do you think you've improved over the last year?
Yes, I do. I do think so. We can look back at our artworks. I can still see artworks from a year ago that I really like and I'm really appreciative of. But I feel like I'm more consistently getting what I like. Okay, you're not going to believe it, but this is the one, I think. Yes, we're right here already. I'm like, I love it.
I love it.
I love it.
Perfect.
It's amazing.
It's beautiful.
By this point, I already knew that this is what
This
I
is
wanted
the
to go
one.
forward with.
No, I really like it already. It's cool.
I love this purple I found to be the complementary skin tone.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Something about that just sold it for me. I think it added more life to her skin as opposed to like the dead of the just a darker gray or blue.
Your shading, your everything is so soft, very Abby.
The eyes came together to me very quickly. I liked where they were, so I left those in place as well, just as they are. Pretty much I don't touch the eyes much the entire rest of this piece, which
Wow.
is how it should be probably.
That's impressive.
Yes, I go back and do a little bit of adjustments, but I just liked how they turned out from the get-go. Yeah, I don't know. There's just this one.
It just worked.
It felt like more of a better reflection of my abilities improving in the last year too.
I think that's fair.
Yes, especially I think it was hard going into this knowing that I hadn't been able to draw much over the last few weeks. So I was worried I would not be able to give an accurate like summary of how much I've improved. But I kind of felt like that with my 2022 redraw as well. Like I remember thinking, oh, this is fine, but it's not as good as something I've created in this same time frame here.
Yeah, that's fair. I actually feel the same way about the one I've been working on, which we can show here very soon.
Okay, yeah.
In our next
yeah.
episode, yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to talk about that one.
Yeah, so I was pretty determined to get this to a point where I was like, no, I think this at least better reflects how far I've come in the last year.
Yeah,
so
my favorite thing that you've been doing is all the stuff from imagination, like this. Like, it's so cool to see.
Yeah, that felt appropriate since both technically have kind of been more, both my very first one was an attempt to take a reference and change it entirely from my own imagination. It was a dramatic, not good. And the second one, 2022, also was not a lot of reference there, just very basic reference. And so with this one too, I was like, I think what I celebrate with the turn of the year with Drawbli is how much have I drawn to the point where I can like go away from a reference and bring inspired elements of it, but also be really doing my own thing with it as well.
Yeah, I think it's really impressive. I cannot do this. I cannot do what you do. I'm very jealous.
It's definitely, I've learned something about balancing the two, where if I get too far away from using reference, then I'm definitely outside of my appropriate wheelhouse. But if I stick just enough to it, then I can go away from it a little bit more and be happy with what I've done. I even decided to give her a golden crown in the end, just to be a little bit more on the nose with the Ice Queen. And I accidentally didn't record her golden crown.
That's okay.
But it was just a very brief addition later on.
I have another question for you, Abby.
Yeah.
Since it is our 2-year anniversary, another related question. What has been the biggest surprise for you in learning over the past year?
Wow, the biggest surprise.
Like the thing that you didn't expect to learn,
Yeah.
or like you never would have thought of a year ago, maybe.
Definitely my stepping into Alla Prima. That was totally new for me, and
Which is what you're doing here.
And it's what I did here, and I combined it a little bit with sketching
No sketching,
here.
just painting.
There was a little sketching with the arms, but after I did the initial pass, and I have been so thrilled. It felt so hard at first. When we did that first Ahmed Al-Douri's course, that was a new, like totally new thing to me.
A completely different technique.
Totally new. I had never done that even in like a traditional medium. Not that I did that much with traditional medium, but I've always been a pen and paper person. Emphasis on the pen, emphasis on the line. And to go in with big blocks of color and get something out of that was crazy, but it's been so rewarding and so fun, and it truly feels like very expansive, like I've learned a new skill. So I would say that, learning that method of creating, and I highly recommend people try it out if they haven't before.
I think it's a super fun technique. Sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. But I do really like the process. It feels a lot more akin to sculpting than starting off with lines. So I really like it for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's so much we've learned in the last year. I mean, we took Ahmed Al-Douri's course. That was huge. Learning about slightly more about color, and especially skin tone and color. Trying to do better with that getting away from very muddy, dead tones into more life
Look
in
at the
skin.
snow. I love it.
The driven snow brush, Procreate staple. The reference is holding a staff, so I was like, I'll make her hold a staff, and then I was like, I don't want to draw a staff.
You've also learned so much more just about like the software, I will say. Like I'm watching you use techniques that you would have never used a year ago.
Yeah.
Like you're clipping masks and stuff like that.
It's been so fun to learn all about that kind of thing because it's very powerful. And very gratifying to have finally learned. I remember when clipping masks, yeah, see, golden crown, there it is. Clipping masks were an enigma to me. Like, what? Clip what? How?
Clip who?
It's a mask? What?
Where?
Yeah, so it's really incredible to have come this far. I can't wait someday to be able to maybe translate some of this back if I ever get my hands on some good paints and want to try just painting.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
It'd be just fun to do for an afternoon. But yeah, so this is 2023's Redraw.
Very nice.
Yep, a big difference from 2021.
There's so much energy that kind of comes through in the end of this too, which I really like.
Yeah, I can see that. I can agree. And here we have the side by side of
all three of them. So far left, very first one. This was like a week or two into Drawbli.
Yes,
you know,
you can see
one
that
of the very first things you ever did for Drawbli. And then year two on the oh man, wow, the improvement is and the improvement in the middle is insane.
Yeah,
I love
exciting.
getting to see these. Awesome job.
Well, thank you. Happy 2-year Drawbli anniversary.
Happy 2-year Drawbli anniversary.
Yeah, this has been such a delight doing this with you. I'm sorry, but we're buying you out. This is a board meeting, and we've gotten your shares. I have majority shares now.
Wow, all 0 of my shares.
Yeah. No, we hope to see you and continue to work here with us at Drawbli, Ben. We at the board have really liked your work.
And if you want to join the board of Drawbli, click that like and subscribe button and check out our guidebook, How to Easily Draw Every Day, at the link below.
And share your work on Instagram with #Drawbli because drawing is better with friends.
And this is the part where we say
goodbye.
Goomba. So I spoke to the board, actually, and we're buying out your shares.
But you can't do that because I have a clause in the contract.
I forgot about the clause in the contract.
Yes. They're very sharp.
Those, and the fact that you wrote them in invisible ink is just, honestly, it's nefarious. You knew what you were doing.
I am cutthroat to the last.